Hey toy fans, Scott Toyguru Neitlich here, former brand manager at Mattel over the Masters of the Universe Classics line, and this YouTube series is going to go figure by figure, giving director's commentary on how those figures were made and the inside story of what inspired us. Now before the line had things like a playset and over 250 figures, it all started with one, King Grayskull. And it honestly did all start with one employee, myself, Scott Neitlich, number 910888. Now, I'm not saying there weren't other people involved, but I was the impetus behind doing it. Before coming to Mattel, I had worked in pharmaceutical advertising, and when I applied at Mattel, they saw my ability to navigate the legalese of pharmaceutical copy as very applicable to toys, since they both have so many legal issues, restrictions, and warnings that have to be on the packaging. So the skill set translated very, very well. My first job at Mattel was a copywriter in the Hot Wheels group, where I got to do really cool things like name the basic cars. This was Straight Pipes, which was a Larry Wood creation, and after Larry's first two choices for a name didn't pass, I got to name it, which was pretty cool. If you don't know who Larry Wood is, you should be a Hot Wheels fan. I also got to work on some really cool Hot Wheels playsets, like the Turbo Glow line, that had some really cool plug-and-play action. And one of my favorites was Modifighters. Modifighters was kind of Mattel's, version of Transformers. They were robots that turned into licensed vehicles. They did okay. They also had a really cool app, and I got to write all of the videos for it. I even did a character named Spectre in the line. You can see the Ace of Spades logo there on his car door. So one day, about 5-6 months into my time at Mattel, the high-ups from the 15th floor decided to come down and find out what is going on with each group. And that was this man, Tim Kilpin, who actually also started off as a copywriter, much like me, and went on to become part of Mattel's leadership. I asked him why Mattel wasn't making action figures aimed at adults. I showed him things like my Savage Dragon collection, which if you're not reading Savage Dragon, you really should. It's an absolute amazing comic book that doesn't have a huge toy line yet. I showed him some Indiana Jones toys from Disneyland, which was really the only place you could get Indiana Jones toys at the time. And there happened to be an Indiana Jones movie in the works, so Tim kind of thought I was right on the money. I showed him some NECA Staction figures for MOTUC from the 2000X line, or rather as the 2000X line became Stactions, that were produced by NECA, and I asked him, why are we licensing out toys for MOTUC that we could be making ourselves, because it's our brand? And he said, I don't know. That's an interesting point, Scott. So we had the green light. He officially moved me from being a copywriter into the Mattel marketing group. Yay! And that was the start of MattyCollector.com. But we're not there yet. First, we had to do a figure. We decided we were going to look at King Grayskull as an unreleased figure from the 2000X line. And we were going to release him at Comic-Con as a big kickoff. Now, the original idea was to use Ice Armor He-Man from 2000X because he had the big boots and the cape, and give him a new head and a new paint job. But because this was Comic-Con, we were shocked when the Four Horsemen showed up with their very own take on Masters of the Universe with this He-Man prototype. Totally unasked for, totally out of the blue, but we said, that's it. So, start again. We threw out the Ice Armor He-Man concept and decided to tool up King Grayskull using the Horsemen's concept. But how to package it? Well, Frank Varela came up with this really, really great Grayskull box that recreated the castle, had an opening jaw bridge, lights and sounds. After all, this was a Comic-Con item, and we wanted to go the whole 9 yards. Little did we know, this package was going to get used over and over. So, here we are at Comic-Con. I wanted a variant, so I called up Val Staples from He-Man.org and said, what should we do? And he said, do the statue version. And I said, yes, let's do that. So we had our variant for Comic-Con. In fact, King Grayskull actually had quite a lot of variants. There was, of course, the all-clear version, which, okay, let's look at that figure and talk about the elephant in the room here. So the clear version, we only made 30 of these. They were given out to employees and auctioned off for Dream Halloween to support Mattel's charity efforts, as well as one was raffled off at Comic-Con as a PR move. The figure did become kind of a holy grail, and because it wasn't really achievable for most people in the line, years later we did a glow-in-the-dark version of the spirit of King Grayskull, as well as a regular release that came with the power orb. In fact, there was even an all-clear white version that never got released. And in fact, the statue version even had 2 different decos as we looked at which version to do, and I think we went with the less mossy version, the more gold one in the end. And then, of course, as I said, the mass release version came with the power orb. Here he is next to the Comic-Con version. We flocked the shoulders. Here's also the 2000X He-Man that can be used making that body. But King Grayskull, that was it. He was the first figure, and it was awesome. And he did really well, and it boded well for Masters of the Universe Classics. And we had high hopes that we could maybe do 6 figures eventually. Little did we know that this line was going to become huge.